Hi there, Mike. I am doing this as a sort of a video response slash question after I watched your Christmas episodes. And basically what happened is as I was watching that last episode, you and Noah were having a discussion about how you're decorating the Christmas tree, and you were talking about your grandmother and your experience at Christmas with your grandmother, and you were talking about how some of her behaviors actually almost ruined Christmas for you. Now, you might have been joking, and if you are, I'm going to feel like a totally big butthead, and you can just totally ignore this video. But the reason that I'm asking is because I have a friend who I believe is probably some sort of soulmate with you in terms of behavior and the way he looks at the world. He prefers, like you, ENFP, and the look that you had on your face when you were making that comment about your grandmother being tough and how it almost ruined Christmas for you every year. That look that you had on your face is the same look that I have seen on his face year after year. And it's just interesting. So what I'm hoping you will be able to help me with is to answer where this might be coming from, specifically from an ENFP perspective, because I think it's more of an ENFP perspective than it is an NF. And the reason I'm going to say that is because as I explain this family dynamic to you, you'll begin to understand that there are other NFs in this family that aren't responding the same way. And right now I'm going to put the cat down because she jumped up in my lap. Okay. Now, so to start out, let's just explain to you what's happening with this particular family. And it's pretty much an extended family that I'm talking about. A set of grandparents, a mom, a dad, my friend, and two siblings. He has one brother and one sister. And when you look at the family, what I really found interesting is how you talked about SJs being the keepers of tradition. And that is somewhat true in this family. But the true keeper of the traditions in this family happen to be two NTs, the grandparents. The grandfather is an INTJ, and the grandmother is an ENTJ. And that combination comes about simply because they were both seminary professors. He taught, I believe he taught New Testament. He taught New Testament, and she taught Christian theology. And so, but there's certain traditions that take place in this family each and every year, and those grandparents are, even though they're NTs, they're the guardians of that tradition, and they truly enjoy seeing their family come together and seeing those traditions. Now, their son, who is my friend's father, he is an ISFJ. So he does have that SJ going on, and he's married to an INTJ. So an INSJ, INTJ. So definitely you're going to have them supporting the keeping of that tradition that the grandparents have. And that brings us to the kids. Well, as I told you, my friend, he is, just like you, an INFP. An ENFP. He has a sister who's an INFP, and the brother is an ISTP. So, another thing that's interesting about this family is that you have all four temperaments. You have the NT, the NF, the SP, and the SJ. And every year in this family, in terms of tradition, you have certain things that happen all the time. That Christmas tree goes up the same year, every year, same day after Thanksgiving, every year. It comes down the same day, January 2nd, every year. They have their Christmas parties at the same time. Every year, there's Christmas Eve dinner at their house, and everybody gets to open one gift. These are traditions that I have seen go on in this family since I've known my friend. And what I find interesting now in adulthood is how much he fights against that tradition and how much it seems to annoy him, and how much he even uses the term. The reason I say that, I think that you two might be twins that are just, maybe one was frozen and born later, is because he even uses the same language. He talks about how they make Christmas fascist, and it drives his sister crazy. His NF sister. Now again, she's an INFP, but they have 3 letters in common, NFP. But the things that she'll always say to her brother is, if it makes mom and dad happy, if it makes grandma and grandpa happy, why is it such an issue with you? And he never has a good answer in terms of why it bothers him so much. So I guess the question that I'm asking you is to help me to understand, because I'm very much into type. As a matter of fact, I'm preparing to start a doctorate program in which the project that I'm going to do is going to revolve around type and typology. Is what could possibly be happening there in terms of, you have 2 children, one who prefers INFP and one that prefers ISTP. And they don't seem to have an issue with the traditions. And my cat's hanging out behind me now. Okay, but they don't seem to have an issue with those traditions. And they just seem to be going with the flow. But he seems to be bucking against it so much. And I'm just wondering, what, in your opinion, and as another ENFP, could be going on there? I mean, he's even gone so far. He has 2 young children now, very, very young, and his whole thing is, it almost seems to be this fear with him that they might take on these traditions. And what I find interesting is, it isn't that he doesn't have any say-so in how things happen at Christmas. One year he suggested that they do something with a soup kitchen, and they did that. Another year he suggested that they change the way that they give gifts, and they did that. The only thing is that there are certain things within this family that they want to see happening year after year after year. Like I said, Christmas tree up, down, same time. Christmas Eve dinner, one gift on Christmas Eve every year. And that just seems to irritate him so much. And like I said, he got that exact same look. If you go back and look at the video that you made, the 4th one, where you're talking about that, you got this look on your face like, when you say, it almost ruined it for me every year. And you got this look on your face. That look that you had on your face is the exact same look that he has on his face. So I guess helping me to understand. And I know you're not as much into the theory and the side of it. You're more into in the NF and empowering of NFs. But because of that, I was just wondering if you might be able to give me an answer into what, from an NF perspective, and specifically an ENFP, could be going on there. Because like I said, his sister's an NF. And her whole thing is, if it makes mom and dad happy, if it makes grandma and grandpa happy, I'm all for it. But that isn't happening with him. So what could possibly be going on that could cause such a reaction? Appreciate if you could help me out with that, and I hope to be corresponding even more often. Again, I like your channel. I'm not going to tell you my type. I'm going to leave it up to you to guess. I will tell you this, though. I am not an NF. I don't have a preference for NF, and you'll hear me, I use that term. I say preference because that's how, when we went through the MBTI training, they said use the term preference. So that's what I do. So if you could just help me out in determining what might be going on in terms of his, what appears in my view to be disdain, not dislike, but disdain for tradition. If you could just help me out and help me to see, so that maybe I could help him out, because I don't want the holiday ruined for him, and it seems like when it comes to the traditional stuff it is, but I also don't want him ruining the holiday for his family, especially his grandparents. They're getting up there in age, and you know, if it's important to them, I agree with his sister. If it's important to them, then it doesn't kill you to put the tree up the day after Thanksgiving and take it down on January 2nd and give one gift on Christmas Eve at the Christmas Eve dinner. And I also would hate to see him not allow his children to get involved in that, because that a lot of people wish that they could have a family that was as close as that family is. So, Mike, if you could just help me out here and maybe give me a potential answer, it'd be great. And looking forward to some more great videos. Thanks a lot.